Hello, hello. We're live.
Hey,
Jake,
how's it going?
not bad, buddy. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. Thanks for having me. How's the audio coming for me? I had to use my phone this time, so I just wanted to check to see if it's okay.
I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Okay,
Yeah.
good deal.
Yeah, mine's good.
Yeah, great.
Perfect. Well, hello everybody who's watching us. We didn't get a chance to talk before the stream today. We had some tight schedules, so now we got that out of the way. Welcome everybody that's in the chat. I see we got a few people in here already. I got some technical crap to do here first before I get started. Not rich enough to get someone to do this for me yet. All right. Yeah, my actual computer actually lags quite a bit for the comment section of things. So I keep an iPad going up beside me so it keeps up very, very well. So looks like we got about 12 people in already, which is great. Yeah, so we're gonna do it again. I did it just a few days ago, but seemed oh, I lost you, Jason.
Sorry about that.
You're back. We did it a few days ago, and just even going over the simplest items that we use in our fish rooms every day. You should have seen you did see the ideas spawned in the chat section. So if everybody in the chat's okay with it, and I know you're okay with it, Jason, let's go through. You got a bunch of stuff to show us. I got some more stuff to show us. And people in the chat have been very, very good at either expanding on someone's idea or just a fresh idea altogether on something to use. So I think we'll have a fun chat, bud.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to show you some stuff I got going on. I'm trying to remember how I flipped the camera around on this thing.
Oh, with StreamYard, it'll have actually a thing just for reversing your camera. You'll see it. There will be an option there.
Let me see if I can flip it around somehow.
So, well, Jason's figuring that out. I'll give a shout out to everybody that's on here. Dragon Lair, he was a half hour early. He's on here. Welcome. Chevy Fish, welcome. Sandy, welcome. Who else we have in the chat here? Chewy, welcome. Griffin Fish Room, welcome. Chevy Fish, welcome. Sand Creeks Aquatics too, welcome. Who else? Fishy Fun 57, welcome. RO's Aquatics, welcome. Larry D's Tanks and More, welcome. And I think that's everybody for now. Jason's just getting his stuff sorted out here. We got him back.
Sorry about that, guys. A little technical problem on my side.
Kaler's Aquatics is in. Welcome, Bob. Do you get her figured out, Jason? How to flip her?
Yeah, I think I did. It's a little different, but that's okay.
Well, there you go.
I think we got it there.
You do.
How's that? All right.
That's pretty good,
guys.
So, do you want to showcase your first thing you want to talk about? Guests first.
Well, sure. Yeah, absolutely. I guess I'll start with the most important thing in the fish room, little fish dungeon. It's kind of in pieces right now, but really, two of the most important things are right here. I got them out right there. To kind of stress the importance, in my opinion, of water changes. Now I don't have anything fancy schmancy for water changes in here right now. I don't have any automatic systems, but just a good old bucket and some hose will save you so much headache. Just start a little siphon. If that's all you have, just do that. So that's my big thing I'll start with. And something I'll touch on as I go through what I have in here is the fact that I live in such a remote area, of course, right? So I'm going to go through kind of how I source my stuff and save a lot of money doing it. If you think that's a good idea.
Yeah, by all means.
So this stuff is exactly the same thing as you would get in any aquarium store, but I get it at the hardware store. You sometimes you have a hard time finding this at the big box stores like, you know, Home Depot and those sorts of places. But if you go to like the more smaller places, like the more rural places like Ace or something like that, you can find all kinds of stuff. In fact, that's where I got this for way cheaper than you would pay in an aquarium store. And this as well, airline tubing, same thing. And even some really specialty stuff like this really huge, you know, thick stuff. Again, you have a really hard time finding stuff like this at aquarium shops, you know, based on my experience. And if you do find it, you're going to pay a lot for it.
Now, some of that stuff you'll find in the plumbing section of a hardware store, and some of it you'll find in the heating and cooling section of a hardware store, depending on the type and size of line you're looking for too. So if you can't find it in the plumbing, have a look in the hardware or in the heating and cooling section.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally correct. And you see this is all coiled up, it's because it comes on these huge spools, you know, these big giant spools, and you just pull off however much you want, cut it, you know, write it down in the code and take it up there. And it's way cheaper than you can get in any aquarium shop. So I'll kind of start there.
I'll add on to that though, Jason. So one thing a lot of people end up doing is paying a lot more money for, say, a 50-foot or a 75-foot Python. I use the Python attachments around here, and you can go and buy that hose to extend your Python. If you buy, say, the cheap one at that's 25 feet, you can buy it as long of a piece as you want for that. And it would be way cheaper than buying the absolutely large kit for the, and I think they might only go to 50 feet. I've needed more than 50 feet at times. So that's a good idea for that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if you want convenience, yeah, by all means, go out and spend an arm and a leg on a 50 or whatever foot Python kit, you know, ready out of the box. But man, it's going to be expensive. And if you don't need to, if you have a hardware store like 4 blocks away, you'd be really surprised what you can find. So
yeah.
Something else I do here is I don't think that you can't call it true DIY CO2 injection, but it's certainly much cheaper than doing it with these fancy systems that you get from companies like ADA and UNS, you know, that you pay for that name, right? So these are just paintball canisters. This one's not hooked up right now, so I don't freak out when it fell off like that. This is a dead soldier. Actually, it's half dead. Anyway, this is just a regular old Tippmann CO2 canister that you would use for paintball, right? And you can look online and get all kinds of these CGA 320 adapters, these things, right? They're like, I don't know, $8, maybe $10. Okay. And then this regulator is a very basic regulator. It doesn't have any built-in bubble count or anything. This is manufactured by I believe a Chinese company named Go Aqua. And these things are really affordable. They're like, I don't know, $15.
Oh, wow.
Let me move it up here. Sorry. They read the pressure in PSI. You can see this thing is actually almost full. And, you know, the regulator's got a little, I guess, what would you call this? A flange or whatever that unscrews, you know, and you mount. Yeah.
That's a press fitting.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
So you unscrew this and then put your airline on, you know, through this hole and screw it back on, and it's not coming off at all. And yeah, this is way cheaper than.
So do you just take those to a paintball shop to get them refilled?
Exactly.
And what's that cost?
One of these to get it refilled, $5.
Oh, there you go.
You can't even buy a 3-pack of those little tiny disposable ones from Fluval for that.
No.
And this, I mean, if you have an aquarium like this, or better example like this, like a 15, right? Or even better example, these sad, dry 40-gallon breeders right now. We're going to change that soon. But even if you're doing something like a 40-gallon breeder, and you're just, got some rotalas and crypts and stuff in there, nothing too crazy, man, all you need is a trickle. Really, that's true. If you want to do CO2, I'm a little bit troubled at some of these big time aquascapers. You see them just juicing their tanks with CO2. I mean, hitting it hard, and you see those slow motion shots of the super tiny bubbles going up. When I see that, I just think, yikes. If your average aquarist, doesn't kind of know what they're doing and they hit their tank like that, oof.
So that's going to give you a crash, right? If you don't have the right nutrients and everything else going with it, you'll be unbalanced, is what you're saying?
Well, I guess what I'm saying is there are very specific times and conditions where you can hit aquariums with that much CO2, right? So often, you'll see, and I know you've seen these on YouTube videos. You've seen like a panning shot from some aquascaper like that. It's really slow motion and beautiful. And you might see one little shrimp here and one little fish there. That's about it, right? And it's just plants, hardscape plants, right? And then it'll pan in, and forgive me for it being dirty, but it'll pan in on a high dollar CO2 and CO2 diffuser, and the thing will just be ripping CO2 in there, right? And if you have a standard aquarium and you don't know when you can and cannot turn that thing off, you don't know how it's going to affect the pH and how much is going to be absorbed. When do you need to cut it off before the light goes off? Those sorts of things. You can really get in trouble, which is honestly why I adopted the method that works so good for me. Just a trickle. Okay. Just a trickle. That's all you need. It really gives your plants a pop without making them go absolutely crazy.
Cool.
So if you do that, and it's truly just a trickle in an aquarium like this, right? And you have a little bit of carbonate in there, your water's fine. You always hear people say, oh, you got to cut it off at night. It'll kill everything. No, it won't. It won't. Not if it's just a trickle, tiny trickle. So that's why I stick to that. So that's what I do on my CO2 stuff. It's not for everybody, but if you're kind of a major plant nerd, sooner or later you're going to start toying with CO2.
That's awesome. Awesome. I'm just looking through the chat to see. I think what we'll do is we'll do like one from you, one from the chat, one from me type of thing.
Oh, yeah, it's great, man.
And I'm just seeing if anybody's throwing something up in the chat that they would like us to expand on or just let us know about. And I'm not seeing any ideas yet. So you guys are not doing well yet. Come on, chat. You guys got to pick this up. Okay. I'm almost back to the bottom here. We got a lot of chats in here, so it's taking me a bit to scroll it.
Oh, yeah. I'm the slowest in the world at that, man.
I'm almost there. Okay. Nobody's got one up yet, so I'll do one while they get one up. And yes, sorry, I'm going to put that back up. If you guys aren't subscribed to Jason, by all means, subscribe to Jason. If you want to learn about, I guess anything that goes with the aquarium hobby, but you're most specifically, like this guy's like a plant genius. He makes his own tissue cultures and stuff. Like it's absolutely nuts. So if you're into tissue cultures, you're into plants, you're into some of the finer aspects of the aquarium hobby, or you just have a tank or two, subscribe to Jason. He's got some awesome information. Now I'm going to pull out one of the most simplest things. A styrofoam cooler. I have to back up a bit. Sorry for that terrible audio. A styrofoam cooler. A fish cooler for transporting your fish.
Yep.
Now, it seems very simple and very, I don't know, that you shouldn't have to think about it, but I don't know how many times I see people walk out of a Big Al's or a pet shop or my basement or something, and they didn't bring a cooler. Bring a cooler if you're going to buy fish. There's a couple of reasons for that. It's not only just to keep the temperature the same, which it is. It does a great job at that, but it's completely black and dark inside that cooler, and your fish aren't going to get stressed out and wigged out on the way home. They'll just chill right out when it's dark. They'll just think it's nighttime and morning will be here soon. So take a cooler with you when you're going to buy fish. That's my item and tip for that one. Simple.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's almost always one that I forget, man. I just got to be honest. I go to the fish shop. I'm so excited to go, and get something. I get there. I'm like, oh man,
I actually keep like a cooler lunch bag in my vehicle. So if I am stopping somewhere, I always have a cooler bag of some sort with me. So that's the other thing. Instead of using a big bulky cooler, you can just use a cooler bag as well. And yeah, I just keep one right in my truck, and then I know I got it.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. I don't see any questions yet or anything, Jason. So guess what? It's your turn.
Cool. All right. Well, so I'll do. So I know what I can do. Let me. I'm not very good with this flipping the camera back and forth. So I'll go into the lab if that's cool with you guys.
Yeah.
If you don't mind. So we talked before very, very briefly on the steps in tissue culture. Tissue culture is plant tissue culture is a sterile process, right? Everything has to be sterile because you're really putting little tiny pieces of plants that have to be sterile in medium, right? That's full of sugar and nutrients, and any kind of microorganism that's in there, just one of them, that's it. You're done, right? So something I think I mentioned before was that I use something called sodium dichloroisocyanurate. It's a super long word. It's basically, it's baby bottle sterilizer. Sometimes it's sold as that. Sometimes it's also sold as emergency preparedness water sterilizer, because it is. I mean, it
just kills everything.
Yeah, I mean, it dumps tons of free chlorine into the water, and everyone knows chlorine. That's it. It'll given enough time, nothing will survive it. And small amounts of sodium. None of those things in small, reasonable amounts will kill us. So it can very much in emergency be used as an emergency water sterilizer. If you got to drink it, if there's nothing else, right? So this sodium dichloroisocyanurate is what I use, this stuff. And I'll flip the camera around. Bear with me just one moment.
No worries.
I don't want to mess this up again.
That's all right. You're allowed to make mistakes on this show. Hello, Chubby Guppy and Fish Keeping Jamaica. See, we got a couple Streetwise. I see your we'll get to this next, okay, Streetwise.
So this is kind of a shot of this is made in India, this one, EF Chlor sterilizing tablets. And it's just these little blister packs. Now this is kind of boring a little bit. It's just like Alka-Seltzer. It's shaped just like an Alka-Seltzer. It's white. It's a little bit smaller and thinner than one, but you throw it in water and just like Alka-Seltzer, it starts bubbling like crazy. And in 5 minutes, it's quote unquote gone. But this whole room in here, this entire room will smell just like a swimming pool, right?
Oh, wow.
So this is what I use now. Now this specialty stuff that they sell as baby bottle sterilizer or blah, 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 whatever, is expensive and it's hard to find. So I started digging around, and you see I'm continuing the theme with living on such a remote, in a remote place. You got to be really resourceful. I started looking around and I found this. Leisure Time Spa 56 chlorinating granules. Okay. What this is specifically Spa Shock. You've heard of pool
for your
shock?
hot tub.
Exactly, for your hot tub. Now let me direct you to the active ingredient. Well, I don't know if you can read that.
Got glimpses of it, of chlorine.
Sodium dichloro-A
Up top.
triazine-trianone dihydride, right? So if you look this up and you know the chemistry, basically this is exactly this, but this is not in a bubbly effervescent form.
Okay.
That's it. So while this will cost you dearly for a box like this, and it doesn't last that long. I mean, one tablet is one use. That's it. An entire thing of this was like $8. And this is way more. In fact, this yields exactly the same percentage of free available chlorine as does this.
Huh.
So yeah, Leisure Time Spa 56 granulating, what is it called? Chlorinating granules is actually what I am using now to surface sterilize plants instead of this more expensive stuff.
And no issues.
No issues whatsoever. Exactly the same function.
Okay.
Basically, the reason why we like these and not that. Okay, this is last resort stuff. Okay, bad. Okay, the reason why we don't like that in the lab is because if you ever have a digital pH meter like this, okay, and you pour just a tiny bit of bleach in neutral water, you will notice that the pH of that will shoot up to over 10, like that.
Oh.
Pow, like that. Okay, so what do plants really not like?
A pH of 10.
Yeah. Exactly. A pH of anything north of 7.8, 8.0 becomes problematic, right? Mm-hmm. Well, the reason why this is so useful is that it's an isocyanurate. What that means is it's going to release just as much free chlorine in the water, both of these products, without rocking your pH up. In fact, if anything, it drops it ever slightly. So very, very useful.
Yeah, that's neat because like I've worked on like I've been a pool boy. I've done I've had to maintain like resort pools, and we never use that stuff. We always just use like just shocked or straight chlorine, right? But yeah, that's interesting that you found that. That's very cool.
And to be fair, they didn't have those isocyanurates. Those fancy isocyanurates, they were really expensive to manufacture. The chemical process to making them wasn't cheap. So now they are. They're much more readily available. So back then you had those big hockey pucks. Remember those big giant hockey pucks? You dropped them in, and oh man, you better not jump right in the pool after that. It would really tear you up.
That's one thing I wanted to ask you about that stuff there that you're using. Like you say, it smells like a swimming pool in your room when you use it. Should we also, or should you also be telling people, like, is there any health risks there? Should you be ventilated? Should you be,
if you use it in the small amounts that I'm using it in, and we're talking, and basically in 1 liter of water, which is a jar, right? A jelly jar, a big mason jar. We're using about 4 grams of it. So it's nowhere near enough. I will put it this way. If you added that same amount in that same liquid weight volume in bleach, it would be way worse with the fumes and the headache and all that. But with that said, yes, you do need to be mindful of these lab things. If
anytime you're touching chemicals.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with this stuff, a lot of people do not realize that. You might realize that hydrochloric acid, right? 1 mole.
I got a story about hydrochloric acid.
You mix it with stuff, you combine it with stuff, bad things happen, right? And 1 mole hydrochloric acid, pure or whatever, in a glass container is no problem, right? But there are certain things you don't want to do to that without ventilation. What's one of them? Heating it. If you heat hydrochloric acid, you get hydrochloric acid vapors. And if you breathe that, oh, bud, your lungs are really sensitive.
Just in a warm pool room, like the maintenance room for like large commercial pools, we used to use 45-gallon drums of hydrochloric acid to reduce the pH of the pools, right?
Yeah.
So these old guys that worked there long before I did, they never even used a mask. Like nothing to work with this. So you'd end up going with your gloves and you're pumping, filling a jug, right, of this. I almost fucking hit the floor the first time I did that.
Yeah.
Just from the fumes coming off of it. Like I must be sensitive to it. So
Yeah.
that, and then I made them all. I was a safety guy when I went there, so I made sure masks were available for it. But
Yeah, they're
another
crazy.
thing,
Yeah, they're crazy to be messing with that. You don't get lung
yeah,
tissue back. That doesn't
no,
feel so
no,
well.
and you can feel it burn, like it's
Yeah.
bad. So another trick they used to do, because we used to get, there was one really old building in the hotel, one old hotel building. It was super old. Plumbing wasn't very good, and so they used to use it to unclog drains and sinks and stuff like that. Just run the hydrochloric. Well, they failed at one, and then they sent me up to fix it. Well, I opened up the P trap. It was full of hydrochloric acid.
Yeah.
I dumped. I didn't know they had used it. They didn't say nothing. I dumped it in the bucket and almost hit the floor beside it because the stuff is just using hot water with it, right? The stuff's just terrible. So yeah, everybody be very careful when you're playing with lab chemicals. If you really don't know what you're doing, be extra cautious.
Yeah, you really do need to be careful. And the thing that's crazy is that in the age of the internet, all you have to do is Google hydrochloric acid lab safety protocol.
Yeah,
literally, it's free. That's like, okay, here's a list of a few things that you must not do.
And I think it's a system that goes straight through North America. Just look at your MSDS sheets and your WMS sheets, right? That's bottom line. Any chemicals, MSDS sheets. But on a more upbeat thing here, rather than talk about dying from chemicals, Streetwise wants to know if either of us have a net that we especially like.
I actually do. It's a really cruddy net. I don't remember where I got it from, and it's one of those favorite nets. I use it so much that I lose it so much. Like I can never find it. Like, where is the net?
My favorite net's got holes in it.
We call it the net.
I'll go and get it.
This is just a crappy black one. It's I don't know. It's about 20 inches long. That's why I like it. No cardinal tetra can escape it. I mean, no fast fish can escape this thing. So I'll put it up here for comparison. Let me flip this camera around first. We'll wait for Jesse to get back before I crash the stream trying to flip the camera again.
I have 3 favorite nets, so I can't just pick one.
Oh man.
So let's see your net, Jason.
There we go. All right. So it's not a fancy net, but I found it, somewhere, some probably big box store. And the thing is massive. It's super, 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 super long. So
oh yeah.
So it's way, way, way longer than I need for a 40 breeder or anything like that. And it's a pretty good size without being obnoxious, like if I put my hand up next to it, that's a good size. I have large hands.
That's a baby net.
I know.
So I have the same one right here, Jason. This is my favorite baby net.
Oh man.
Same one. That's my baby net. This, I got to sit back a bit. This is my, say, fish up to 6 inches net. And that's my favorite. It's full of holes. It's almost actually falling apart. Same with the bristlenose pleco babies out of a 90-gallon tank. That's my favorite net. And then for my 180-gallon tank, where I deal with some fish, sometimes up to 12, 13 inches, and it can be very hard to catch, I actually went and got a pond net. It's a huge pond net, and I love it. It's made life so easy in the big tank. Just get in the net. No messing around, no playing around.
Nothing's gonna escape that.
No. So those are my favorite nets. We'll get down. We'll get down here and see if there's anything else for us here. Jan Aquarium. One day, my 9-year-old combined bleach and vinegar and 2.5 gallons of hot water. It was 36 degrees Fahrenheit, and we had to open windows and doors. Smell was overpowering. Yeah, isn't that the same as if you do bleach and ammonia? Doesn't that do some crazy chemical reaction?
There's all kinds of nasty things that happen with bleach and certain detergents, and people forget that detergents, right? Well, they're very alkaline, right? They're bases, right? And a lot of people forget something, that soap, right, which is very alkaline, is in fact a solvent. Not an incredibly good one, but this is true. Okay, if you're working and you get oil, motor oil, or some kind of axle grease or whatever on your hands, start trying to wash them with just water. It just smears it around. It'll never come off fully. Okay, maybe in 100 years, right? But throw a little soap on it and it releases. Why? Well, that's because soap is a solvent. In fact, it's a very alkaline one. We're used to really harsh solvents like, obvious ones like gasoline or
transmission oil
or butane or isopropyl alcohol, for that matter. It's a very good solvent. But soap is a solvent too, right? And it's an alkaline one. So when you combine soaps with certain other things, you get some bad results sometimes because they're alkaline. They're reactive.
Yeah, no, that's crazy stuff. There's a question for you here. Redfish, Bluefish, what do you think of floating a Powerade bottle full of CO2 upside down in an aquarium and letting it dissolve as needed by plants into the water column? Unsightly, but works and is safe. No overdose.
Yep. It's amazing. It's brilliant, in fact. About the unsightly thing, okay, yeah. I mean, you probably wouldn't want to do that. Well, you certainly wouldn't want to do that in a low iron, 100-gallon fancy schmancy, of course, right? That's a show tank. But there's absolutely nothing wrong at all with doing that in farm tanks or in tanks that are just for you, that you're growing plants in, because Gatorade bottles and Pepsi bottles and stuff, they don't fail. You don't have to replace them, right? So they're very reliable. Just fill it up and give it a look every 2 to 2.5 weeks. You might have to top it off a little bit. That's it. So as the gases start to run out of it, and it gets less and less in it, you'll notice that it slows down a lot, and then it'll stay with a little bit of gas in it like that much, and that it seems to not diffuse. Well, that's because there's almost no pressure, right?
Yeah,
no pressure. Right? The gases have escaped, and it's water pressure and all that. So,
see, we learned stuff from the chat and everybody here.
Yeah, that's I can't remember where I think it was an aquarium co-op video a long time ago. So some guy somewhere with a fish store was doing it all over the place, and I was like, yep, that guy's smart.
Another question, guys. It's been said that tubes that's not aquarium specific tends to not be too flexible after a few uses. What's your thought on that? It's the exact same tube.
Yeah, I haven't. No, it's true that there are
some cheaper ones.
Yeah, there are some specialty tubings for sale at the hardware store. Some braided stuff. You can see like nylon threads in it, and I haven't
might be talking about the actual airline tubing, like using the hardware store bought airline tubing. I think that's where we're going with this, because there's the silicone. You can get the aquarium silicone airline tubing, which it hardens after time too. I think they all harden after time a little bit for airline tubings, but the silicone ones are really flexible all the time. So I guess it depends on what type you get.
Yeah, I haven't. No, I have purchased various airline tubings. Now, one thing you see a lot in the planted tank world, and you hear, not all the time, but from time to time in forums, people saying, oh man, on your CO2 injection system, right, between the tank and the regulator and the diffuser, if you're not using a special CO2 grade airline tubing, you'll get more gas loss. That's garbage.
That would be pretty minimal.
Yeah, I mean, if at all, I haven't noticed that. So they basically sell more or less the equivalent of the clear kind of, I don't want to call it hard, but it's not silicone either. The clear stuff, right? That's kind of hard.
Yeah.
They sell that online, and it's called CO2 tubing or whatever, for much more than regular tubing, and it's exactly the same price for the same product at Ace Hardware, literally. So
Now
it's just the color.
the other thing you can do for airline tubing too is ask your local fish store. I know mine sells it in bulk. They have the same as the hardware store. They have reels of it, and you can buy it by the foot or meter or yard, depending on where you live. So I do that as well.
Yeah, if you're lucky enough to have an awesome local fish stores like you do, I don't, because of how remote I am, then definitely go to your LFS, man. If they take care of you, take care of them. Go there and talk to them. Hey, listen, I need a big spool of this. Can you sell me a whole spool for, can you make me a deal because I'm buying so much? And almost always the answers, oh, for sure, man. Don't worry about it,
And like, if you're going in to buy, like, I think when I did the air loop system in here, I think I went in and bought 300 feet off of them. Like, I pretty much bought their spool that they had, right? So if they know you're coming in buying like a ton of stuff, they know you're going to be back. They know you're going to be a good customer. I don't know what exactly my customer status is at my local fish store. I sell them wholesale goods. They treat me, I'm not going to say I get wholesale their products off the shelf, but I would get very close to wholesale. They treat me well that way. So it's, you got to get that relationship going with your local fish store, because that wasn't always, I used to pay full price for everything, right? But I don't pay full price for hardly anything there anymore, because we got a good rapport.
Nice. Yeah, that's great, man.
I seen down the wormhole here. Hello, and welcome. By the time I get to the chat, people are probably already gone by the time I talk to them.
No one can be worse than me at following chat. No one. I'm constantly doing this because I have
well, mine's sideways, so I'm doing this. But hello, HC Aqua, you're in the house too. Okay, next item. I think it's your turn. Is it, or is it my turn?
Well, I think we both went last time because of the net. Right?
Yeah, we did the net.
We cancel each other out. So I went before the nets with the
so it'd be my turn.
Crazy with the chemical cocktail.
All right.
And yeah, some of this is plant tissue culture lab specific, but it's definitely aquatics, right?
That's my next tip right there. Headlamp. So
there you go.
I work with a lot of fish that like to live in caves. Caves are dark, and they're really hard to see in it. And then especially if I'm looking for babies, or if I'm moving stuff around and I want to use both my hands in the tank, I don't want to hold my cell phone there. By the way, I'll say the flashlight on the new iPhone 11 is garbage. It's terrible.
It is.
My flashlight on my old iPhone 8 was way better.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, why it's so bad. Is it because they improved the lenses and the camera and the software so much that you don't need as much flash, or what?
I don't know, but apparently what my local iPhone expert says is that they've actually used a lot of the same program, or the same hookups, the same camera design as an iPhone 7 in the iPhone 11. The way it hooks up or something. So the flashlight is apparently like an iPhone 7. I don't have an iPhone 7 to compare it to, but I know my iPhone 8 has a way better, not camera. The camera's way better than the iPhone 11, but the flashlight's garbage. So you need one of these. A headlamp. Takes a couple AAA batteries. Easy peasy. I walk around the fish room with it on half the time. So that's my next item tip.
Yeah, we have several of them in the house. They move around constantly because I have a son, an 11-year-old. Where are they? It's find the
gotta hide them,
man.
Gotta hide them.
Let me flip the camera around and show you a big one here. How do I do this thing?
Yeah, I'm not sure what store you're going to find those at Streetwise. I got to look for them myself too. So I'll let you know if there's a store that I find them at.
A big one that actually I use equally in the lab and the fish room. And anyone can order one of these online, and you can even find them from time to time at your big box stores. Right there.
You got her.
Digital temperature gun. Yeah. Did you already do that already?
I did that one on the last one, but by all means keep going, because there's different people on the live stream as well, and it's a very cool tool. Maybe if people hear it from more than one person, they'll go buy one.
Yeah, this one's it's E-Tech City. It's centigrade or Celsius, Fahrenheit, and all that good stuff. Something that's really cool you can do with them. Let me see if I can get them to do it. You can get your fish to
chase the light. There you go. They did it.
Come on, get it, buddy. Come on.
It's like playing with your cat.
Oh, yum, yum. Come on, get it. Oh, you're almost there. You're almost there.
That's hilarious. I actually haven't tried that yet. I got to try that.
But, I'll tell you, barbs especially. I mean, you even saw the little cardinal tetras going for it, Come on. But barbs especially. Oh, look at that. Even the cardinals are going for it. Man, you guys are
hungry.
You know what?
Feed your fish.
I know. I just fed them like an hour and a half ago. They're making me look like a monster. Let me flip this back around. There we go.
Yeah, no, those are great. You can check your whole fish room in literally 2 minutes for the temperature.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. I use it in the lab just as much as here, because the range on those things is crazy. And unless you rock them up over like 450 or something like that, above 450, they get inaccurate. They have trouble like, whoa, it's really, really hot. Then it gets a little inaccurate. But who works with anything over 450 degrees,
Yeah, right?
That's pretty hot.
Yeah. Ah, yes. Yeah, the umbrellas work good. There's I could actually probably do a live stream just on lighting. Like for studio lighting and stuff. I don't know if everybody notices how much brighter I am than Jason is. And that's not because I'm a happier, shinier person or anything. I just got some kick-ass lights in my studio. And
it may be. Maybe you are happier.
No, not usually.
How's that?
Yeah, see, but the other thing, if you have your lights proper in your studio too, is no reflection on your glasses. So when I'm looking at my computer screen, I know you can't see a reflection on my glasses because I have my lights positioned to take that away. So you could do literally someone way better at it than me should actually do a live stream just on lighting in your studio. And
that would be helpful actually, because I'm terrible at it. Obviously, you see all the blue light bouncing off my glasses.
Yeah, it took me a while to get it, and I'm not an expert at it. A lot of trial, like literally get up, move the light, go back, sit down. Oh, okay, it's still there. Get up, move the light, go back, sit down. So I have I got one here, I guess. That's down. These here are the lighting systems that I use that go on pole mounts, and there's a huge bulb inside there, as you can see. And yeah, I got 3 of those.
Oh, nice. Is the idea that with the idea is, I guess, with 3 of them, you can position them around to make sure that you don't have any overlapping shadow or anything like that, right?
Yeah. So I position them because I'm going bald and I like to wear a hat. So I position them so you can still see my face. There's a little shadow under my hat, but you can still see my face, no glare, and the background behind me is lit up nice and brightly. That's how I do it, anyways. But like I said, I'm not an expert. I just move them until I get them to where I want. It would be nice to get someone on that could actually explain properly. It's one thing to get something and do something, but it's another thing to actually be an expert at it and be able to explain to someone else how you got there. And I can't do that with lighting.
I don't know if you've had the same experience, and then we'll probably move on. But when it comes to like lighting and cameras and audio, if you're a YouTuber like we are, right? If you start watching YouTube videos on that stuff, man, you're lost. You're gonna have a long list of stuff you probably don't need, that probably doesn't work for you. And when it comes to that sort of thing, YouTube's unfortunately not the best source, I think, because they just saturated it with clickbait. You think you're going to get an informational video, and it's not. It's a commercial.
Yeah, and there's so many faucets of it, right? Like, so I got this kick-ass mic. I've learned how to use it so that my voice comes out good on it. Hopefully the gain's not too much and it comes out crackly on other people's end. But they tell me I'm doing this like a fool. If I look at YouTube videos, because I have it, they said throw away the stand, the base stand of it, and then get an arm coming from your wall over, because they say every time I hit my table with my hand or something, you move the table, you can hear it through the stand going through the mic if you want perfect sound. Right. Well, I don't care if it's perfect as long as you can hear me okay. So I just keep the stand, right?
Your audio is great.
That's how specific they get.
Yeah, no, we can make out every single thing you're saying. The audio is great. So if you get a little here and there, okay. And
yeah, I'm not going to start bringing arms out and everything else. It gets
worth $300 and holes in your sheetrock. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, right.
No.
Just seeing if anybody's how far back I've gotten
cool
here
to show you actually, but I think you're next, man.
Am I next?
Yeah, I just showed you the.
Yeah, I am next.
What did I show you?
Hello, Steve. Paul Monestis is on here. PJ. Hey, PJ, how's it going? I need a diffuser. I'm overexposed. Any tech items? No, I don't have any tech items on my list tonight.
Tech items, specifically like electronic. Well, I do have one, but I cheated and I showed it to you, so I'm not going to make it an item. I already showed you the digital pH meter.
Yeah,
super expensive. I don't know if you priced them before, especially the ones that are heat resistant that you can use in a lab, like on boiling.
Okay, no, I have a pH monitor. I don't have a pH pen. I have a pH monitor.
Well, that's even better though for an aquarium, right? It's always looking at it, and
you just leave it on. No, maybe. I haven't figured out how, if it does, but yeah, it literally just, I can leave it on 24 hours a day. It runs off a 9-volt battery and it'll last for probably 2 or 3 months, leaving it on 24 hours a day. So if I have a tank that, like, I mostly keep it on my 72-gallon bow front that's got my L128 Blue Phantoms in it. Because I'm trying to drop the pH. I don't know how much more they can take, but I keep it on there quite a bit just to monitor it, so it doesn't bounce. I just don't want it bouncing. I want it a slow decline.
For the right fish, really, really, really low pH, like those fish, is fine. Stability is what you want, man. Stability. So if it starts, roller coastering on you, oh boy.
I'm going to try roller coastering it though. This is off topic, but I am going to try roller coastering because I'm going to make a rainy season. I'm going to make a drastic rainy season. I'm going to drop the temperature by like 10 degrees. And I'm going off of what your guest said the other night. Something clicked when I was listening to your guest, how he was talking about how the rivers can go from a trickling stream to a 15-foot wide river overnight and then back down again by the next day. Well, that would be a huge pH fluctuation, huge temperature fluctuation, everything. And then the fish spawn after that, because I think it's the rainy season, right? So I'm actually going to try and fluctuate things on purpose a bit. My fish are healthy enough to handle it, even if it's doesn't work. I think if your fish are unhealthy to start with, it's not a good idea to try something like that, but they're going to take one for science.
Yeah, well, that they'll be okay. I mean, you know what the fish can tolerate. You know that going from, I don't know, 5.2 to 5.8 or something like that, or 6.0 for them is no big deal, because that's exactly what happens in nature. However, going from 5.2 to 7.8, well, that's it. You've crossed, you've crossed way over. That's
Yeah. Yeah,
So
well, you'll get
big.
ammonia from that. Plain and simple, you'll get ammonia from that.
Yeah, you get all kinds of things from it. Yeah, it just shocks them so bad.
And now, one thing that I've always noticed, and I've read it a few times and whatnot, but fish handle the drop in pH, like a stiff drop in pH or a sharp drop in pH, way better than they handle a sharp rise in pH. They don't seem to get that ammonia burn in their gills.
Well, yeah, absolutely. The lower the pH is, the less toxic ammonia is. It's science, So a lot of complaints about acidic water. Well, I won't say that. Let me restate that. You'll hear a lot of people that sell fish, right? That sell fish and deal fish will pretty much constantly, not all of them, but some will constantly be a proponent for hard water. You have lots of carbonate, lots of hardness, blah blah blah, for across the board, for tetras, you name it. I don't agree with that. The reason I feel that they're saying that is because they're chasing stability, and that's a good thing to chase.
That's what they got, and they don't want to do the work to make it different. And exactly. I get it.
I get it too, but yeah, that's let's not make that a hard, fast rule. Just make it 7.8 to 8.0 and you'll be fine. No, you will not. Not with all fish. You will not.
Yeah, like I spend a lot of money to change my water from hard water around here. Not for all my fish, just the fish that need it. Yeah. And yeah, it gets expensive. So
it does. It does.
We're off topic. Off topic. This is my next. What it is for quilting, I think. Crocheting or quilting or something. They're mesh sheets that you get at the dollar store, and they cost you $1. Or if you're at the $1.25 store, they're going to cost you $1.25. I don't know what inflation's like right now, but I can't keep up. But these work for so many things. One instance, I use them as a guard around my power head in my saltwater tank so my anemone doesn't go in and get splattered across the tank. I use them for intake covers. If I'm using a different kind of filter, say like a matin filter in a tank, and I have smaller fish in that tank, I'll cut out a little circle of this and I'll put it over the intake filter. I've made egg tumblers out of this stuff by using that on the bottom, making the sides just have a bubbler go underneath. Endless dividers, tank dividers. You need to divide a tank up. You can put moss through this and put it in the base of your tank. As many people use a mesh screen, you can use a plastic screen too, just under the sand. So for $1.25, it's got an awful lot of uses in a fish room. I usually keep about 5 of them on hand.
That's smart. Have you ever, so are they, do you have to fortify them to use them as tank dividers? Are they just too flimsy on their own?
They're pretty flimsy. Yeah, you'd want to put a rod at each end or something. What they work best though, if you're trying to divide something by itself, depending on the height of the tank water, like they like to bond themselves together well, right? So like it's easy to do a lot of round things with them and whatnot. But yeah, as a tank divider, I don't know. I wouldn't use it solely. It would have to be a small tank, like a 5-gallon tank or something like that. Yeah. I don't think it would be strong enough unless you doubled or tripled it up.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I
All
can
right.
show you something that I back in the lab I ran into with the stuff that's been going on in the world, this big worldwide problem that's unfortunately still a worldwide problem. Caused a lot of problems for me in the lab due to supply and demand. Let me flip this camera around here, and I can show you what I had such a hard time getting a hold of. This is an alcohol lamp. Okay.
Ah,
We
yes, I
use
remember you
these.
talking about that.
Yeah, it's got a wick in it. You see the wick.
Mhm.
And you just fill this up with Everclear. Actually, is what we normally use. This stuff. I don't have any of
Okay.
it because all the alcohol everywhere was purchased up. Right.
Huh.
So you run into a major problem in a tissue culture lab if you can't make fire. How do
Vodka?
you? Well, even all the vodka was gone. Everything was gone. People bought everything to use as sterilizing agents. I mean, there was no Everclear, there was no vodka, nothing. Rubbing alcohol was long gone, right?
Yeah.
So I ran into a problem. I need a fuel, and obviously, any kind of gasoline or that's crazy. That's literally the worst thing you could do with one of these things. That's a bomb. But something really clean burning like alcohol, that's what this is designed for. So I looked and looked and looked. Eventually, I had some luck. We burn these in front of this device. This is a flow hood. It puts out sterile air constantly, this device. When you run it, it sucks air in the back and it forces out pure sterile air, right? So we fill this with alcohol and we light it on fire. And it makes a flame about that long, right? And you pass your tools through the flame constantly as you work, because this is sterile work, right? Flame, 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 chop, 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 flame, flame, flame. Well, you can't do that if you don't have fuel, right? So,
And it can't be a dirty fuel because you don't want that residue on your stuff, right? It's got to be sterile.
Exactly. Any kind of dirty fuel, you're going to be breathing that circulating in this room. Oh, that would be bad. That would be really bad. So I came across, sorry, I'm grabbing it here. I came across a solution. I got a heat shrink torch from Benzomatic and these propane cans.
Ah.
So
Is propane's clean enough?
Oh yeah, propane's really clean. Yeah, it burns quite clean. This house that I have is drafty enough. I mean, I'd never burn this inside of an enclosed space at all. But all you have to see, these have triggers on them. So all you got to do is pull the trigger. Pow! The flame comes on.
Yeah.
You flame that, and then you let go of the trigger. Pow! The flame is off. You're not going to get hurt from that in a lab.
Yeah.
Now, if you left it running in a closed room, yeah, you're probably asking for.
What about a small butane torch like that?
Yeah, you could use that as well. Yeah,
because I got one you can click it on and leave it on, even, right?
Yeah, this has a lock as well. If you want to lock it, you see that little lock symbol. Yeah, so that's I actually got 3 of these. Check this out. This is a little bit of a funny story, a little bit of a faux pas. Let me put this back over here. I got this stuff, and I was just on cloud 9 that I finally found it, and I could get back to work. And then literally the next day, I found all this.
I remember your video with your truck full of elk. You look like you're going to start a meth lab.
I know, man. I know. And literally the next day, I found just tons and tons and tons of this, which is exactly why this is still in the package. But you know what? That's
might be easier. Yeah,
it may be. I'm gonna break it out and use it one of these days. So that's a bit of something odd you won't find in a fish room, but a bit of a story. I mean, with all this stuff going on, without a heat source.
Yeah, I remember you were so excited about finding all that alcohol. You're like a kid in a candy store.
I know, man. Oh boy.
I think it was just called the dollar store fishy fun. You probably have to look around. I think, yeah, I'm in Canada. I think it was just the dollar store. had it. But also, and he's talking about the mesh sheets. You can also get them at craft stores or like knitting and sewing stores. They would have them too. I just want to answer a question from my friend Steve Langley here, who has also been a guest on my stream. There's a few people on here who have been a guest on my stream. Bob Kaler's on here. He was a guest. PJ Monestis, Ask the Doctors, Steve, you. But Steve was asking how the clownfish babies are doing. And they're doing absolutely fantastic. They're almost completed metamorphosis. So I think we're on day 13 now. So a couple more days and they grow in the grow out tank. You'll have to wait for the video.
Yeah, that's some incredible progress you got with those things. I was freaking out when I saw, your success rate. Not that you had success. I knew you would get success, of course, but
I didn't.
The rate of success that you got, I mean, it looks like to me you had virtually no loss. Virtually. I'm sure you had a few, but
I had two today. And I think this is I put this up here because this was funny. That you need a foot pedal for fire. You need a hot foot. That's what they call that in a boat. A hot foot instead of using the throttle.
there you go.
But what's happening is as they're going through metamorphosis, some are going through it quicker than others.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They don't all go at the same time or at the same rate. Like it's not an instant change. It takes days. So there's a very few in the tank that don't look like they've even really started metamorphosis. And then there's some that look like they've completed it. They look like little clownfish. And those little clownfish are assholes. They are. They're jerks. They're already going around chasing each other around the tank. So I think what they're doing is picking on the ones that are a step behind that haven't completed metamorphosis yet. And I think that's why I'm starting to get a couple of losses here and there. But obviously they're picking on the weak. So if you're weak in that tank, they're probably getting picked on yet. And I don't know what to do about it. I can't separate them yet or anything. You're not even supposed to do water changes while they're going through metamorphosis. Although I do anyways. I still do 30% a day. I think water quality is more important than if I shock one and scare it by doing a water change, honestly. And I haven't lost any because of that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, some of the weaker ones are starting to get picked. But I still have over 100 babies. Yeah. So Paul here, who's excited to see the clownfish grow up, he's growing. You're going to have to type it out, Paul. But he's growing some crazy ass seahorses, saltwater seahorses. So we went on these rotifers together and stuff. This big order. Seems like we're the only couple guys in Ontario that wanted stuff from there. So yeah. But anyways, Paul will type that in. They're crazy seahorses. But yeah. Whose turn now? I guess my turn.
I think it's your turn. I think it is. Yeah.
Right here.
I was showing off my blowtorch.
Brazilian. I won't say that right. Ready eye. Reedy eye.
Radii. Yeah. Radii.
Yeah, they're pretty cool looking though. And he's having a bit of success rate. I think the most success he's had yet with them. Yeah. So I think Paul said he's up to day 5 or 6 with them now. I think that's almost out of the woods for a lot of marine fish, getting past day 5 or 6. All right. I brought a lot. Oh, sorry, Roscoe. Sorry, buddy. I put my chair on his foot. Ammonia Test Kit.
Oh, yeah.
Ammonia Test Kit. If you're going to own any test kit, I should be careful saying that. But if I could buy one test kit other than not talk about thermometers and that kind of crap, I'm talking about just test kits, testing the chemistry of your water and what compounds are in your water. This would be the one I'd buy. I can figure a lot out from this. And to me, this is your number one killer in fish. pH isn't your number one killer. Having too high of a GH or a KH is not your number one killer. Not having a cycle tank and being able to test your nitrates and whatnot is very important. And you could actually get some information about this through those tests. But if you want to know if you're burning the gills off your fish, this is the kit to get, because you cannot see it in the water. I don't care how experienced of a fish keeper you are, you cannot see ammonia in the water. It's a silent killer. So that's my tip. Get an ammonia test kit. I suggest the drops. I don't even know if there is a dip one available. It's very simple. I have it memorized now because I use it so often. 8 drops of each bottle, mix her in the tube, wait 5 minutes and have a look at it.
Yep.
So that's my next one.
That's absolutely a good one. Yeah, ammonia is the number one killer, really. You know, you don't know what it's. I mean, if you're an experienced aquarist and you didn't start with something like Eco Complete, you know, and a modest amount of fish that you're not overfeeding, okay. Well, if you're not doing that, you better have an ammonia test kit, right? Otherwise, you're rolling dice, man. You know, you're gambling your fish's life. So
I think you're rolling dice anyways. Yeah. It's a good way to know if your cycle's complete.
Well, what are they? $7, $8 or something? $8. They're
maybe it's 10 or 15 in Canada.
Yeah.
Either way, it's under $20.
You can do like a bunch of tests with one of them, a bunch.
Hundreds.
Yeah. So my next one, you may have already covered this before.
Okay.
I use one of these, and it's not. This is okay. So this is not the best one in the world for sure. This is not the best one in the world. This is not the best model of the make, but it's certainly the most affordable one. And the reason why I use one of these is because I live on a fairly remote island in the Puget Sound. And as such, I have well water. Our well water is not the worst in the world. It's the TDS is not that crazy. The GH isn't terrible. There's a lot of carbonate in it though. I have really high carbonate in my water. Not as high as Arizona or Texas, but for the Pacific Northwest, it's actually a bit high for this area, the well that my house is on. So I am I'm a plant guy, obviously. I think pretty much everyone knows that. So let me flip this around and I'll show you guys what I use. This is the Aquatic Life RO Buddy.
Ah, yes.
And I think I paid $65 for this thing. $65. So very, very, very affordable. This is the, let me think.
There are 110 in Canada, folks.
Oh man. Well, this is the waste. This is the wastewater. It goes back out, and this is the feed. It comes in.
Or you just send it right out the window.
Yeah, I just sent it right back out the window. I've got it a tiny bit cracked, and I've got a bunch of wood there. So yeah, you know, and you know, it just kind of feeds back to that big giant trash can that I have set up right now. It's certainly not pretty to look at, but I had a bunch of stuff against that wall that I've since ripped out because I have a.
Where's your resin pack?
Yeah, it's actually up in the top of this closet behind me here.
Oh, is it?
So,
okay.
Yeah. I was using it for a while, and then I can't remember. I took it off for some reason, and I just never put it back on. So, yeah.
Yeah, I had an RO Buddy. They work good. They're a little bit slow.
Real slow.
And they waste a lot of water. The RO Buddies waste a lot of water. The one I have now is a little bit better than an RO Buddy. Not a great one by any means, but it's like 50-50. It wastes as much water as it makes. But the RO Buddy, that's why I got rid of the RO. I still have it, actually. But they waste a bit. But RO water, I use it for some tanks just to tone them down a bit, just to tone my well water down a bit.
Yeah, you can, and I've done it a lot of times. Mix well water with pure RO water to get what you want. It works really well. carbonate, if you don't have carbonate in your water, and you do need some carbonate, right? That's something that people in some places, like in Seattle, they have to pay for that. There's like no carbonate in the water, none. Like the TDS out of the tap can be like 60. Like,
wow.
really soft up here in the Pacific Northwest. Now,
What's yours out of your well?
I'm out of a well, exactly. So it's still soft for a well. Let me think. My general hardness is 8, so not terribly hard, and the carbonate hardness is 11. 11, yeah, it's 11. So it's got a decent amount of carbonate for water that's not terribly hard, right? So that's kind of weird water.
Yeah.
To have fairly soft water with that much carbonate in it. So.
Yeah, I'm at like 14 for the carbon, and my water is 400 to 420 ppm out of the tap. Yeah, it's high. Like my general hardness is like 17 or something. It's incredibly hard, and it's a well. It's a town well, city well, but it's still a well.
Yeah, that's what we have. We have like a big giant community well share here. There's a bunch of houses off of this big well. So the water's not bad. I've seen far worse water come out of wells. That's for sure.
That's what I have to do. I want to get a pump for mine actually as well. I would like to start pounding out some more here. I got too much, all this marine crap going on in my shrimp tanks and everything. Like that stuff's all straight RO, right? I'm not toning down. I'm just remineralizing.
Salt, man, salt. I mean, in the U.S., that's 50 cents a gallon, 40 cents a gallon, or something insane. It's expensive. I mean, that's why.
What, to buy salt? People buy salt water?
Or is that? Oh, let me think about that. The cost of salt. Yeah, the cost of salt to mix a gallon. Oh, I think that's per 10 gallons. I think it's 50 cents per 10 gallons.
It's cheap.
Yeah, but if you've got these massive tanks, right? These 400, 500.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, that gets really pricey.
It would get expensive there. I think I buy a box of I buy a big box of salt. I usually get it on sale for about 70. I'm on my first box still.
Wow.
It's been like a year, and I do water change every week. It's only a 65-gallon tank I was doing though, right?
Okay.
But yeah. I think it is Instant Ocean actually. Right here is what I get. But yeah, it does like 700 gallons or something for like $70.
And then if you're smart and you're using things like algae scrubbers and all that kind of thing, you can extend, you can keep, it's the salt that kills you. Salt's not cheap, right?
Sandy, I don't do anything with my wastewater, to be honest. I'm terrible. I send it right down the tap because I don't want that crap around anything I have. It's my wastewater comes out at like, I don't know, it's like 650 ppm. I wouldn't even water my plants with it. So yeah, I just send mine right down the drain. If anybody has any great ideas what to do with some horrible water.
We recycle ours as much as, well, I can't really show you because I'll lose signal. I was going to show you, we divert our wastewater around our back, to water our ornamental plants. But then again, my water's not nearly as hard as yours is, right? So my wastewater is not going to be super bad. I wouldn't put fish in it, but a lot of it, gets diverted out. And I've noticed, let me show you, flip it around. This is very cool, actually. I got this accidental, what could you call it? Like a little ecosystem set up just outside where some of the wastewater goes. These are all marsh plants that I have going here. And this is all accidental. It just naturally popped up. Let me show you. Here we go.
Oh, very nice.
So these little plants, these are all wild, naturally occurring, and they're marsh plants. They're plants that really, really like that moisture, and they pop up in flooded areas up here in the Pacific Northwest. So yeah. they really enjoy it. And then we divert it over to, the various roadies and various, plants that we have all out there.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, in some cases, in a lot of cases, you can still use that water.
It's weird to look at your yard right now and see daylight.
Yeah,
It's like really dark here. It's almost 11 o'clock here.
The sun stays up forever up here, man. It's so annoying. Just go down already.
Chewy says if the wastewater is high in calcium, African violets like that type of water.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, African violets don't mind one bit.
All right. What do we do next here? Well, I want to make sure we get this one in. So, again, this is another dollar store item that I've modified. So what it is, I think they're made for like office supplies to go in and stuff. I don't know. Yeah. They got a little handle on them on this end. Well, I go and I just take some styrofoam and some fishing line, put styrofoam on both sides of it. And now for larger fish, because they have these holes. But if you have smaller fish, you could always MacGyver your mesh in there as well to cover the bigger holes. If I need fish caught for the next morning, really early in the morning, that are going for sale or going to an auction or something, I'll catch them the night before, put them in these, float them in the tanks. They don't get out. Easy to bag the next day. If I have fish that are getting picked on that need to be separated from the rest of the fish in that tank, use this, float it in the tank. Not going to get picked on anymore. Again, going to cost you $1.25 and about 5 cents of styrofoam, and you have a floating isolation unit in your tank for your fish.
That's smart, actually. I should build some of those. I've needed them in the past.
Yeah, no, they work well. I have like 4 or 5 in here. I just went one day, I got that idea. I looked at them in the dollar store. I don't know if you guys, my wife goes in the dollar store, dicks around all over the place. She's just, I hate going in there. I hate the store. I hate everything it stands for. But then I start looking around, go, oh, I can make that into something. I can make that into something. I end up buying more stuff than she does by the time we leave. But yeah, there's lots of all my little jugs, milk pitchers I use around here, everything. They just come from the dollar store.
Yeah, nice. Well, I got one more. Oh, we got a comment here, it looks like.
Yeah. I get it's from the Chubby Guppy. I get the pond baskets from hardware stores. Flip the top frame, fits the top frame of a 10 or 20 gallon. Great for a berthing unit or a fry escape. Very good idea. Very, very good idea. Thank you.
Absolutely. And it's kind of related to the RO unit. I don't need to flip around the camera for this. I don't use these devices ever, except for when I'm making RO water, and it goes into that. I don't know if you can see it. See that big giant trash can over there? That's a 44 gallon or 40 some odd gallon. That's 120 liter, whatever it is. So because of where I live and I have well water, a deep well water, that water is really cold year round when it comes out. And as that water goes in there, I have my heater in the bottom of there, because that's quite a volume of water. So when that comes out of there, out of the RO unit at, I don't know, 38 degrees, right, which is 6 Fahrenheit above freezing, it stays cold for about 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah, it stays cold for a long time, because that is sitting right on the floor, right against the wall. You see, so it takes a while.
Put styrofoam under it. That's what I do.
Yeah. I need to get it up. Well, actually, I'm changing things so much in here. Basically, the RO unit, like I was saying, it's very affordable. They're great. They're pretty wasteful, like you said, and they're very slow. I'm about to replace it with one that's made by a company named Hydro Farm, and it's basically, it'll do 1,200 gallons per day. So it's basically Yeah, it's an on-demand RO system. I mean, you flip the switch and pow, RO water comes out of it. Like
That's what I need.
Yeah, and most of those RO units that will do output like that, they start at about 2,000 and work up from there, right?
I don't need that.
Yeah, but these hydro farms are different, right? They're specifically intended for hydroponics industry, right?
Okay.
So they work on line pressure, and you can get one for about 600 US.
That's not horrible. Yeah,
That's not horrible. That's way better than I've been able to find from anyone else.
that's still $900 Canadian. That's why I said it's not horrible. It's still almost a grand. It would, by the time we shipped it and everything, it would be well over $1,000. But
yeah, and I noticed that the wait time with all this, what going on in the world, is a month. So that tells me they're being made overseas, and then oh man, there's a backlog on them right now.
This is kind of what I was going to mention to you. Chubby Guppy says that you can get a temperature control mixing valve. They use them for automatic hot water faucets. I found one for $35. You can go down to 68 Fahrenheit. So my water now comes out at 76 from both carbon block and RO. I kind of do the same thing, but a lot. I actually have my RO system, so I literally screw it into the faucet on my laundry tub, and I just mix the hot and cold water going to it until I got it to about 70 and Fahrenheit, and it comes out pretty much. You must just have a cold water line on yours.
Yeah, that's just it. It literally gets water from the outside faucet. So, yes, Streetwise, I'm gonna have to. What I think I'm gonna do actually with the last video that I did and this video is I'm gonna amalgamate them into clips, and it'll be like there'll literally be like 50 ideas in one video. So that's what I'm gonna do for that. Yeah. All right. So a heater, a lot of people wouldn't even think of that. A heater in your what we call it, your holding tank, your RO. Yeah, your RO basin, basically your basin for your RO water. As it makes it, let's be honest, these RO buddies are so slow.
Yeah.
That water's plenty warm by the time as it fills up.
You can literally probably turn the heater on an hour or 2 hours before you wanted to use it, and it would have it at temperature for you probably.
Yeah. I just honestly, the strange thing is once that thing's full of water and it's up to temperature, that heater almost never comes on.
Yeah, it just maintains
once in a while. Right, exactly. But once that water's cold, right, and it's sitting on the floor like that, and you're just using the heat in here, oh man, that's like 2 days to get it up to room temperature. The concrete's
just pulling the heat out of her.
Exactly. You're fighting the foundation. Good luck.
Yeah.
See you in 2-3 days.
All right. I got like 3 more things.
Okay. I have one actually, I think. Really.
Roscoe, you keep putting your foot there, bud. I keep crushing my dog's foot here. He's sleeping. He didn't even notice. Clay flower pots. You can get them all sizes. I prefer approximately the 4-inch variety. Unglazed. Make sure they're unglazed. These work as fish caves. My clownfish actually spawn in these now. Hell, some people even get bristlenose plecos to spawn in these. Cribs spawn in these. So many fish spawn in these. And if they're not spawning in them, quite often they use them just as a hide. And once they get a bit of algae on them and stuff in the tank, they actually look pretty natural and blend in. You can punch a hole out in the back of them if you want, or you cannot. While I'm on, I'm going to actually show you what I do with the saucers for these. This is an old one that's got a bunch of algae, but if you take 2 of this 5-inch saucers that go underneath them, on one of the saucers, punch a hole in it, you just made yourself a bristlenose pleco cave, and many other cichlids and whatnot will breed in these as well. Just silicone the 2 saucers together. So that's my tip for clay stuff.
And it's super affordable too, right? I mean, you can
Dollar
buy those
store.
Yeah, they're probably not even $1 there, right? I mean, you can probably get 3 for $1 or
Yeah,
something.
I think that's what it is. I think it's what it is. 3 for $1.
Yeah. So this next thing I'll share, and really it's the last thing because I'm going to have to help the fam with some dad stuff. But now I don't know if this is going to help. Now this might help you up there, man, because you're north of the border, and I know that laws surrounding medications and things like that are different here versus there, and not just medications. I mean, we have different laws. Let me show you what I have. I don't use this all the time, but this stuff is awesome to have on hand if you ever, well, not ever, but of course we do all the time. We bring fish into our fish room all the time. We have quarantine tanks. If you're doing it right, in my opinion, this is just my opinion. I have a designated, actually 2 designated quarantine tanks that I bring fish in and I put them into and I observe them. If I see anything funny, that's where I want to deal with it, not in my other tanks, right?
Not
So,
when the rest of your fish are going to have to deal with it too.
Exactly. So I don't need to flip it around for this. Let me show you what I have here. And then more importantly than what I have is where I get it. And this may help you even up there. This.
Oh, yeah.
Levamisol.
Oh, yeah.
Levamisol hydrochloride. Let me see if I can. I'm sorry. Oh, there we go. I'm a terrible cameraman.
You're not going to get that over the border legally, my friend.
No, this is a no-no up there.
I have some actually. PJ Menestas, who was just on the chat there, he's my veterinarian. He got it for me. Yeah, he's a fish veterinarian. So I had to order it through him. That's what we have to do in Canada now. You guys have it great. You can just order whatever you need.
Well, you can't. I mean, I mean, it depends. States are almost like miniature little countries, right? Depending on what state you're in, you have state laws that you have to abide by. You can also find yourself on the wrong side of an even worse force, and that's the feds, right? When the feds go after you, oh my God, it's over, right?
I've watched the movies.
Yeah, you've seen the movies. Now, where do I go up here in the U.S.? In fact, in Washington State and Texas, any state I've ever lived in, to get stuff like this. Now, levamisol, this is called Levamed, but it's levamisol hydrochloride, right? That's what it is. And this is the packet contains 46.8 grams. So it's the whole packet is 52 grams. And 46.8 grams of it is levamisol. So it's almost pure. It's pretty close, right? I get that without a prescription or anything like that by going to my local tractor supply company or my local farm store or whatever. And what you do
for sheep,
you head for the sheep dewormer, the cattle, they'll sell syringes. They'll have weird little helpful fluid mixing bottles, all kinds of cool stuff. And unless it runs contrary to your law where you are, you'll almost certainly find some levamisol. You'll also find fenbendazole there too. Now, I haven't found flubendazole. That's very, very hard to find in the U.S. Flubendazole is much better than fenbendazole for a fish because fish have to eat fenbendazole, right? Mm-hmm. Fish do not have to eat flubendazole. They do not.
They just be in the water column.
It absorbs right through their gills, right through their skin. Pow. And it's very effective. Now, what's another thing they don't have to eat? Levamisol.
No.
They don't have to eat
water column.
Now, what doesn't levamisol kill very well, though?
What doesn't it kill?
Yeah. Eggs.
Yeah, true enough. They need to cycle and become living creatures before. So levamisol needs to be on a 2-week cycle.
Exactly. Now that's where a flubendazole excels above all others. It absorbs through the skin. You don't have to eat it, and it kills the eggs. So just one treatment. So
nice.
That's where I go to get fenbendazole, levamisol.
You guys are so lucky for that stuff. Even your dog, even your dog's vaccinations, you can get them at Tractor Supply stores.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
we
you
have
can.
to go to the vets for everything and pay through the nose for everything.
There's a lot more. Before I jump off, there's a lot more. I mean, lots of stuff in this lab that you look at and say, "Oh man, that stuff's expensive." No, you see this sterile syringes? They come sterile like that with these little already sterile needles. Let me show you. Sorry, these things ready to go. I bought that sterile syringe in this little sterile container with that needle for $1 at the Tractor Supply store. Online, they're $5.
Yeah.
You know,
Huh.
so I mean, take your time. I mean, definitely support your LFS for sure. I mean,
Yeah,
support your fish
up
stores.
here you can't get medications through them either. It's solely through veterinarians now.
But there's some really cool stuff that you can find at hardware stores,
Yeah.
dollar stores,
Yes.
and
For
Tractor Supply
everything.
stores.
Yeah. No, use everything, even outside. I'm going to do one more, Jason, and that'll even it up and we'll be done because I'm going to do an outside one. Just go.
Yeah.
They're free. They're free. Not the LCBO bag, but what's in it. And that is I'm having a hard time here. There we go. Alder cones.
Oh, nice.
Alder cones. They're free, people. Just go outside and get them. Alder cones reach throughout North America, Europe, Scandinavia to Costa Rica. It's sorry, my computer wants to keep restarting on me. Alder cones are so beneficial in your fish tanks. They add awesome tannins, antibacterial properties. If you're having a hard time getting medications, you're noticing a lot of bacteria flare-ups in your fish, in your tanks. First, start doing some water changes. Second, add a bunch of alder cones to your tank. It will drop your pH a bit. It will color your tank a bit, depending on how many you put in. But I will guarantee you it's going to aid in fixing up those bacterial infections. So that's my last tip. Go get some free alder cones. And if not, buy them from me. I'll go get them from free and sell them to you. That's yeah.
And you said it just like it's nice that you ended with that because it's sort of related to where I started. Bucket, hose.
Yep.
Bucket, hose. When in doubt, change the water, man. Change it. Oh, my fish are acting weird. Huh? Have you changed your water? Well, 2 weeks ago. Really? Well, they might be sitting on the bottom like that because they're really unhappy. You know, they feel bad.
Yeah.
Just simple stuff like that. Like you ended with the alder cones, you know, change your water and then throw some of these in. Yeah. Just sometimes the most simple stuff is the most effective.
And just your regular maintenance. I just keep a few in all my soft water tanks. I just keep a few alder cones in them all the time. Then I don't have to worry about going after an emergency if I just make sure there's never an emergency. That's the easiest way. Just keep fires out. Don't put fires out. Don't let them start.
Yeah.
Sandy, talk to Paul. Find Paul on Facebook. That was just on this live stream earlier in the chat. PJ Menestis. Find him and have a talk to him. Tell him I sent him to you or sent you to him. Yeah. Dude, thank you. This was great.
Well, thanks so much for having me on. I was worried about the audio because the last time I did this with you, I joined from my phone and the audio was really quiet, you know, so I was worried about that.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was really good. And from what I'm reading, what everybody's been saying, everybody seems like it's been valuable. And
okay. Cool.
That's what I'm after is value. Let's give people some value out of our live streams. Let's get some ideas and share our ideas. We got some ideas from the live chat today, and we were able to offer the live chat some ideas and work together. So that's what I'm all about with this stuff, man. I'm not here to be rich and famous off of YouTube, clearly. but if we can share some great information and maybe help a few less fish die, and a few people stay in the hobby because they figured out how not to let their fish die, we've done some good things then.
Yeah,
So
I'm with you.
yeah, thanks again, brother. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Everybody that took part in the chat or was even just watching and didn't say a damn word, and we don't even know you're there. We know you're there, and thank you for watching. So from us to you guys, happy fish keeping, and until next time, take care, everybody.